Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Heal the Healer, Mami, Goddaughter Conversations. Alafia, everyone. Welcome to another Heal the Healer, Mami, Goddaughter edition. You already know how we always begin by giving our respects and paying homage to those who came before us and give us the authority to be in this space. So I want to give great honor and respect to our home temples in Benin, all of the temple keepers throughout the ages who protected and steward and are passing on this divine and sacred knowledge. I want to give great honor and respect to our great matriarch, Queen Mother Manonae Pujitau Animaso II, as well as our home temple in the States, Nazia Fa Spiritual Institute of North America, and our founder and leader and my spiritual mother, Mianuana Nasi. I am greeting you and all of your ancestors and the energies that walk with you. And of course, my own ancestors and the energies that are with me. Very grateful to be in this space and have this opportunity for another really good conversation. I am grateful for the ladies on the call today. And if you're watching this back, we are glad to have you here. And definitely leave in the comments any of your insights that you have as you are watching this conversation, because it's so important that we have expansion and that we get to, a higher place. All right, so we always start with a little check-in. How is everyone doing this week? The floor is open.
Go. Hello, everyone. Alafia. My name is Advansi, and I also give honor to our temples in Benin and our great matriarch, Minonaye, Pojiko, and Imaso II. I also give great honor to our temple in the U.S., Nazia Fa Spiritual Institute, and our great leader and our spiritual mother, Mianu Inanasi. I greet everyone. I give honor to my ancestors. This week, I just am thankful. There's a lot of energy, a lot of things to do, a lot of preparations, and so it's been extremely busy for me. But I have been happy that I have the energy to get through the things I need to get through. Um, yeah, it's been a week, but I have good energy. I'm happy. There's been, a couple of things that I need to work on as far as some of, parenting things, and so I'm working through those and trying to regulate my emotions and the kids' emotions and things like that. So it's been a full spectrum, but all in all, it's been okay. I feel.
I love your family. How's everyone doing? I give honor to you, the good matriarch. I give honor to everyone who's watching. Um, wow. My week. My week has been um, very well, very informative, very, how do I say, um, like, also, I would say kind of like a mother that's, that has, um, what is it called when you're about to give birth and you start to prepare for the child to come? You're about 9 months pregnant and you start to get it nesting. I feel like I'm nesting. So we're having another women's retreat, and it's coming up soon. And so I'm nesting. I'm just preparing for the women, and it feels really good. The energy around the trip as well, um, and the intention put around the trip as well. So, um, for me, it's interesting to see who makes it and who doesn't based on the energy that this trip is requiring. And so every trip isn't for everyone. And so it's just interesting to see how the energy shifts and moves. And to be in flow is a beautiful thing. So, yep, that's my week. I'm nesting. I hope you guys are well.
That is so good to hear. I have had a good week. It's been a lot of moments that have let me see just the growth in my nervous system, and just how much progress I have made, as far as being able to regulate in stressful situations and being able to ask for help, and also just see the power of prayer, and just really embodying a lot of the lessons that I've been working on for some years now, honestly, which has been really, really nice. And so that is very much like what kind of spiritual speak for. It was a lot of trying, difficult situations I experienced this week, but I managed them very well. And so yeah, that is all very, very positive. Um, so yes, this week we wanted to kind of talk about the spiritual journey, and relationships, right? Because dating is hard enough on its own. But then when you add in a spiritual component, when you add in that you are trying to um, go against the grain, it can add a deeper layer, and even the needs that you have of being a healer, being someone who has a lot of uh, experiences a lot of energy. It changes the type of relationships that you're in. So I would love to just hear how you all are kind of viewing that, what you've noticed with your romantic relationships as you've been on your spiritual journey.
Okay, what I've noticed in relationships. Um, I've noticed uh, throughout some of our Goddaughter groups, some of our conversations, um, that relationships are very difficult when you were on this spiritual journey. Um, I think you find out so much about yourself, um, that's very different than the way your life was going before or how you viewed yourself before. Um, it's very empowering, but it's also very self-revealing, and it pushes you to grow, and it pushes you to grow at an accelerated rate. And sometimes that's difficult for relationships, especially if your partner is not growing, or not growing at the same rate, or not growing in the general direction. Um, I've noticed that like a lot of relationships are built on who you thought you were, what you thought you wanted. And when you really start to dig into who you are, sometimes that person doesn't fit. And so it becomes very difficult for those who try to hold on and mold their relationships around their new concept of themselves, because it's not always accepted by their partner. And we see a lot of relationships break up, or go through a tumultuous phase. But I really think that it's it's a lot to do with how we've changed and how we've grown and how our environment no longer fits us, and that includes the relationships. So I feel like
Bringing up this topic for me, um, the first thing I thought of, and you guys know I don't have much to do with picking the subjects and everything um, for these episodes. I really leave it to you guys to really talk about the things that are important to you, um, and things that you want to get off your chest. So when you guys said it, my little eyes kind of and I went quiet because this is a very real, very honest, it could be a very real and a very honest conversation, um, that a lot of sisters um, need to have, because they're all going through it. We're all going through it. And because our partner is uh, is dear to us. You may not ever, you know, have a you know, big corporation or, big organization, but everybody has the opportunity to have a big family and to, run their legacy through their lineage. Uh, and so relationships are important to people. And yeah, I think what I immediately thought of was, uh, one of my elders and my very first initiation. The very first thing, they gave us a lot of ground rules when we started embarking. And one of the ground rules was no relationships. And I didn't understand it. A lot of people were like, this is a cult. They just want to keep the women for themselves, and all of that. Um, and I realized why the teachers and the elders said that. And it's for part of the reason that Agbasi mentioned, who you start on this journey isn't going to be who you end up. And so, and you're going to change at least 3 times in the middle of all of that. And so it's best to just pause, cleanse, evolve, and transform, you know. And that's very difficult sometimes for us because this society um, pressures us. Um, our bodies are, we don't know how to take control of our bodies and our desires and our, sex drives. Um, and we have a lot of uh, self control that we have to get down, sexual self control. Um, because if you've been living in this society, you've been pumped porn, you've been pumped, baddies, you've been pumped, mm, I'm outside, you've been pumped, like all of these things that cause you to have a hypersexuality. And when you're on your spiritual journey, it's really about letting all of that going inward and understanding who you are, who you are and who you are in relation to nature. and like how you can harmoniously fit in nature. So, but you don't know that going into it. You don't know that in the beginning. And so, if someone were to tell you, take a pause on your relationship, take a sabbatical from a hiatus from sex, a lot of people frown at that. And you're not going to console me, but that would be, that's what came up for me as soon as the topic came up. That wisdom.
Thank you, Mianu, for your words. It's really insightful, and it's really interesting that they tell you not to have relationships when you start this journey, but it makes sense. Welcome, Tanisha. Welcome, Viola. We are today talking about relationships in our spiritual journey and how our spiritual journeys have affected our relationships. Now we're talking romantic relationships, family relationships, but we really want to get into it. Good. We really want to get into it. And so we want to hear from you. How do you view relationships with your spiritual journey, and how has it changed for you, or how has it been affected? So Viola says no relationships last. They all, oh, I heal them. No relationship lasts. I heal them. They deplete me. Okay. Do you mind expanding on that? Are you able to speak?
Sure, I'm able to speak. I didn't know if I should come, on to talk. So I just tuned in today. I can't say that I'm on a particular spiritual path or journey. It's all quite confusing to me, but what I do know is that the more that I get to know myself in relationship to God and what my purpose, I see all my relationships have either been mirrors of broken pieces of myself, or they have been enriched in some way. So either monetarily they've been enriched. When I'm with them, they prosper. Um, and um, and they are broken human beings, like spiritually broken. Everything on the outside I could say is wonderful. People will like fall down and want to drink their bath water. Just great looking humans. But on the inside, the people that I date are profoundly hurt with a tremendous sense of trauma. And what I end up, it just seems that they're the project gets fixed, they get healed. And doing that um, journey and work with them, um, I feel depleted. And when I'm not with people, I feel better. And I've just I'll be 50 July 21st. And I've just come to understand that relationships are meant to be short term for me. And I have to have a great amount of integrity when I deal with someone. Like the moment that they lie, I think I already know it way before the lie comes from their mouth. I already know it. And so I need people with a great amount of integrity around me, especially in any intimate space, because I hold integrity as a cornerstone. Um, and I'm much more at peace. The older I get, the more at peace I am with the water. I cannot swim, But boy, you put me around a body of water and there's just magic that pops off that happens. And I feel much more at peace there. And then I do also, to wrap it up, when I do find people to date, either they're completely broken or the opposite. Well, they're still broken, but they are practitioners of dark magic. I either find a Marabu or I find someone who is engaging in darkness, and that's just the only two individuals that I've seen to attract more recently. I've had a smattering of maybe one or two others who were, I would say, light beings or light workers who were here to heal and protect, but it was very short, extremely short lived. But the longer relationships are either hurt people or people who are marabous.
Thank you for sharing, Viola. I think it's interesting that you mentioned this is something that we see a lot with ourselves is that we tend to, those people on a spiritual journey, which your spiritual journey looks different. And I would dare say that we attract those things that we probably want to heal within ourselves, which this is what I've seen for me personally, that I begin to attract the things that I may need to heal within myself that I'm not focused on or that I'm not working on. And because I'm an empath, I see myself in others and I tend to be drawn to that. And sometimes that means that I am picking the beautiful man with the broken inside, and you see the potential and want to help so much, right? You want to help, you want to heal, and you pour a lot into them. There's a meme where it's like, it's not a meme, it's a reel. And the reel is like before I started dating, and the girl, she's beautiful, she's vibrant, she has a lot of energy. And then it's like after I date, it's starting or when I'm in a relationship, and she's like, her light is dim. She's not taking care of herself. She, looks, dingy and just worn out. And they were saying, like, in that reel, that relationships are draining, right? And so for me, what I've noticed is that I have to make sure I know what I want and who I'm picking, and kind of like readjust what my type is, because I can say for me, my old type was the beautiful man, very like outside, first looking on the outside before going inside to know who that person was and if they're compatible. But the way my spiritual journey is set up, it's like I have to know the inside first. Before I can even be attracted to the outside. So I just wonder, I just want to, get a gauge from you ladies. What is it that, like, how has it changed with the things that you're looking for in a romantic partner? And if you're not really looking for a romantic partner, like, what are the things that you would want if the perfect person came along? Like, what are the things that you would want out of that romantic partner that you need for your spiritual growth? I feel.
I go. Um, I just wanted to chime in really quick, and I know everyone's going to ask that question. Answer the question, and you might have to restate it. I'll see it after I get through. Um, but I just wanted to chime in um, and speak a little bit about like us as women understanding who we are. Um, because when we don't fully understand um, who we are, uh, we end up making these lessons. And what do I mean by that? We talk a lot about the feminine energy, and but what is feminine? Right? What is female? Even deeper, what is the role of a woman? In this society, they like to make that a controversial topic. That there should be no gender roles. There should be no roles. Everyone should be fluid and allowed to do what they want. And I think that has, us empaths at a very hurt point, because when you don't understand that there are um, energetic forces that are at play, you think that you can just choose according to whatever your innate animal desires are, whether that's see the reflection in them, an outside appearance, or the things that you mentioned. You don't realize that you're actually setting yourself up for hurt. And once I'm teaching a series currently in the Goddaughter class on Patreon about the role of a woman. And one of the things we talk about I'm a day is, what is the role of the feminine and the masculine energy? And masculine energy, one of the characteristics, it's expensive, it's outward. The feminine energy contracts, it's the opposite. It goes inward. So when you have, you know, a man who um, is not at his full potential, or um, needs some healing or development, you have to remember masculine energy is expansive. So once he gets into your energy field, he's not going to contract that energy. Her energy is just going to expand all over you, and all over your energy, your circle. And for the most part, it becomes, it brings the woman down. Um, Innately, it looks like abuse. A lot of times it shows up as abuse. And at the end of it, we can't blame the man, because we chose. We made that decision and we chose. And so I think as healers, as we go on our spiritual journey and we start to um, build that relationship with the unseen world and learn about these spiritual principles, it will help us align our perspectives so that we can protect our heart um, against our uh, like innate emotions, and we can choose our partners based on logic and what makes sense. So that's what I would add for most. I was about to say, can you restate your question for everyone?
Thank you, Mianu. It goes along with what you mentioned, how different we are in our journeys in the beginning versus where we are now, and what criteria we use to choose our partners. I thought it was interesting that you mentioned that um, the male or masculine energy is expansive and the feminine energy is contractive. So I would ask everyone, when looking at relationships, or what type of relation or what type of person you're looking for to be in a relationship, what is the criteria that you use? And based on what Miano mentioned, how does that change your perspective? Okay. I hope the question is understandable. When choosing relationships, what is your criteria for a partner? For me, because I'm deep on my spiritual journey, actually, I haven't been looking for a partner, and one of the reasons why is because I have to work on what is my criteria. Um, what is it that I want, right, out of a relationship? And one of the things that I know that I want is that in a relationship, I want to, Miana always says, choose your position. And I want to choose a position of having that feminine energy, being that feminine energy in the relationship. And so I would be looking for a man who is in their masculine energy and understanding that it's not someone that I should be looking to fix or to help or to heal, right? I want to be supported. I want to be provided for. I want to be made, felt safe. Um, I want to be poured into and allowed to flourish. And so that's one of the changes for me because I've always been, attracted to the one that I'm supposed to help. And Rihanna's right, that energy just kind of expands all over you and expands into your life. And you do look like the real, right? Burnt out, used, abused, not the vibrant, beautiful person that you are. I also have to get away from like the animalistic attraction of like the beautiful man, like the outside appearance. Of course, you want to be attracted to your partner, but I can't let that be one of the driving forces that draws me to a person. Um, and then also because I'm very spiritual, there's so many checks and balances that need to happen spiritually to see if we're compatible on that level. I think that's one of the most important things because I want someone to be um, a good counterpart, an acceptable counterpart, someone, and when I say acceptable, like spiritually, compatible that's going to help me in my mission. So instead of me wanting to be the one to help this man in his mission, I want him to support me in my mission, my destiny, and that's what some of the things that I'll be looking for. That's different than before. It's actually a complete opposite than what I was looking for or what I had in the past. Um, so I just want to offer that, give you ladies some insight and to see where you are, what you're looking for, and how that's changed based on Miano's um, advice and knowledge that she shared.
Alafia, Alafia, Alafia. Um, Greetings to everybody. Lianu, I don't think we've met before. Um, Interesting topic. Sorry for coming in late. Um, I was just sitting on my couch having a moment, and I opened up and I saw the link. So I said, okay. So I'm gonna be a little transparent. Um, I have um, I have three children. The oldest is 23. then I have an 18-year-old, and I now have a 3-year-old. Each of them have different fathers and are from different stages, I guess, of my journey. And listening to what you just said, it was like, wow, because, the things that I wanted probably in each of those stages was very different. Fast forward almost 20, well, not almost, but exactly 20 years later from my first child and the relationship with that parent, um, I thought that I had it figured out. It seems I did not. My first child, I was not into things spiritual. I was very culturally aware, I'll say, in terms of African culture and perspectives and things like that. Her father's even Nigerian, but he's very much a Christian Nigerian. Um, there were a lot of things that I learned about myself through that process because that was a real piece for growth um, in a lot of ways. But then the next one, and I too, had to sit and have conversations with myself over time and realizing that I too have chosen men that I needed to help and they needed help. And I think it was a lot of it was, I realized really, really, really strongly in this last relationship that I feel like it was the relationship itself, I think, was built on trauma. We shared some of the same traumas, the things that he, and I'm still battling with it a little bit because it's still, the divorce is new. But because now I'm beginning to question if some of the shared things that I thought were shared trauma were even real, or if they were things, his manipulation possibly. So I have had the conversation with myself about, what parts of me, what was it in me that was attracting, these things, because I know that it's a shared experience. I know that it's not just what they did to me. There was some parts of me that were openly accepting of, what I was experiencing, even if it was subconscious. Um, in the last marriage that I had, he's a Ghanaian. We were both involved in the same traditional practices. We were introduced because of our involvement in the same traditional practices. And I think my shift was from, situations that, I was more aesthetically attracted to thinking more. We're interested in the same things in terms of culture and traditionally we're doing the same practices. I shifted my focus over to a mindset of he is someone I can build with. He is someone that will be able to help me with my shrines. He is somebody that I would be able to, connect and the dots and do all these things with. So it was a very difficult challenge for me to come to a realization that even through that process, and I have a lot of questions because I did divination. I went to the shrines and everything was in support of this marriage in the beginning. So I still, I guess I'm in a place now where for me, I'm trying to do my checks and balances, I guess, in terms of making sure that whatever growth was being called on me to um, come through, from this particular relationship, that I got it because I don't want to keep doing this over and over again. And now having a 3-year-old at my age, it's hard. It's really hard. I was sitting here trying to make a phone call, and it's like every time I get on the phone, I mean, like it's just me and him. My older children are grown and out of the house, and I don't have any support really from family or very, very little. I mean, if he's at school, that's it. So, I mean, I don't know. This is hard. And it's like, I think for me, I spoke before and I acknowledged that, I think years ago when I initially went through my first initiation process, I really did. I came in there thinking, oh, once I do this, life is going to be golden. It's going to be perfect. Everything is going to be fixed. And boy, was I wrong. It just kind of provides the tools to help you to navigate the rest, and how you choose to navigate or take them seriously or to continue in that growth and that learning, along the journey is really what makes the difference. But but I'm human still, so I have setbacks. Um, and I try not to be hard on myself because I truly am my hardest judge. There's nobody out here that judges me harder than I judge myself. So trying to allow myself some grace and some softness um, when the rest of the world isn't granting it to me. And maybe it can't because of what I'm mirroring. I have a lot of conversations with myself, with my shrines. It's hard. I'm having a rough day. I'm having a rough time. I can't say I'm having a rough life because there've been some good moments. But it's not easy, and I have to figure out how to learn how to choose relationships better because as much as I want to be done, I'm not because he needs a father figure and I need a mate. I don't want to do the rest of this journey by myself. I don't desire that for myself. I know there are people who desire that for themselves. I'm not one of them. I realize that now is not a time to engage in that because I have a lot of healing that I have to work through in order to make that happen. I don't even know if I'm on subject for what your question was. I hope so. But I don't know. I'm surprised he's not jumping on me right now. He must know who I'm talking to. He's being nice right now. But I don't know. It's just I don't know. I don't know. It's a works and it's a daily thing. And if I'm completely honest, I am not as engaged in my spiritual process as I should be. I've had many moments of doubt and lost faith. And even beyond that side of it, I can't say that I put the 100% in that I need to make things happen for me. I struggle with anxiety and depression. I I've been diagnosed with PTSD, um, anxiety and depression, as well as some other things that I have going on with my health. So my health is a challenge for me, and just finding the time, the space, the energy, the support. It's like, and really just, it's been interesting just coming to a place of acceptance for where I am, because I didn't think that at my age now that, I was like, oh, my children would be, I would be like totally able to focus on myself because I have completely like made every single choice that I've made up until now was based on my children's needs. And so I felt like I would be a little bit freer now. So it's been a little bit hard, accepting the fact that I have a small child again. And I'm navigating that every day, one situation at a time. And I'm taking it on. I'm grateful for him in a lot of ways because he's, pushing me to do some things that I may not be doing otherwise. Um, so it's not all bad. Um, but I don't know. Thank you for letting me talk. I needed to get that out of me. I love you. I love you. I love you.
I go. One of the things that I wanted to share that I hope is helpful um, is when you are on your spiritual journey, um, especially when it comes to ATRs, we have to be really careful that we get the cultural education um, as well with the the initiations, right? It's like it's I liken it to if I were to relate it to something most people would understand. Um, it's like going to college and taking a class, and there's a lecture and there's theory, right? And you only take the theory, right? You're only doing the projects, you're only doing the hands-on work, you're only doing the labs, right? And you're not actually getting the textbook information. You're not getting the why. And initiations are the same. When it comes to ATRs, it's really to give you the physical power to pair you and open you to spirit in the physical sense, right? All of the other knowledge and wisdom that's needs to come before. It should come, most of it should come before, during, and of course after. Um, the issue that I don't think our cousins abroad anticipated was how damaged we are and how much we don't know, how much work needs to be poured into us because of the damage that was done from the transatlantic slave trade. And I hate to go there, but there's so much culture that is we have no awareness of, that when you go through initiations, it's like sometimes I think they assume you have the basics. They assume um, um, basic knowledge, like your role as a woman, how to behave, um, what the gender roles, how to raise a family, um, because that's a education their mother gave them. It's like basic family knowledge. It's home education, and so we go into this, and they end up initiating us and realize, whoa, they have no knowledge. And then it either becomes a situation where you have to learn on the fly, and it's very hard for a lot of people, and they end up resenting, or they back off in their teaching, and you end up feeling like, I don't know what to do. I don't have a lot of knowledge. Was I just duped? You know, all of these things, but it's not those things. It's just that, you know, you have to be able to handle the power that comes with being being with the ATR. And so one of the things that I would um, offer uh, in that knowledge, in getting that understanding, is understanding the power of choice when it comes to the, the feminine energy. Your greatest weapon is choice. And you choose your name, you choose who to follow, you choose who will lead you. That is your greatest power. Um, but then you also choose what position you take, right? So when you meet someone, when you're engaging, um, you automatically choose your position. Liken it to, if there's a table with two chairs and you sit down first, the other person has no choice but to take the other chair, right? That's if they want to sit with you. at that table. Um, And it's not that. And the reason there's only two choices is because of nature's law. Right? There's duality, um, opposites attract. There's only two choices, despite what society likes to try to play with your mind. So if you make your choice, your partner only has to be in the other role. So if you choose the feminine role and all the things you do are feminine, your partner has no choice but to be in his masculine. And if that's uncomfortable for them, he will leave. It's not for you to go back and forth on your choice. It's for you to be stable in your mind and in your choice. Likewise, if you choose the masculine, uh, then he has no choice but to play the feminine role. And we can't go back and forth. And I think a lot of us are doing that. We go into relationships um, with masculine traits, um, doing masculine things. And when we get burned out, when we get exhausted, then we want to go into our feminine. When we didn't start that way, so that's confusing to the player, to the person who's in this relationship again. It's it's um it's unfair. And so I think we have to really go deeper in our understanding of our nature and universal principle in order to go into relationships, uh, knowing how to operate and how to choose and what to choose, how to behave and what to do and what not to do. So I want to offer that to the conversation as well. The power of choice.
Thank you, Miana. The power of choice is huge. It's something that before coming on this spiritual journey, I didn't know that that was one of the greatest powers that we have as women. I thought, I had the idea that there was no power in being truly feminine or being in that submissive role. Um, and that's because, my mindset, society tells you that all of the power, all of the influence is in the masculine. We live in a very patriarch society. And so that information was new to me. It's empowering because we do have a choice, and that choice is very powerful. And when we use that power of our choice, we can change our situations, our environments. We can change a lot. There's one thing that was said in there about choice that I just wonder how we are utilizing, our power. Are we, defenseless or powerless or helpless in those that we attract? Because we say things like, "I'm attracting, this type of energy," as if there's no choice, like there's no power, there's no decision that we have to make. But I wonder if we change our perspective, those things that we're attracting, we have the right to say no. We have the right to say, nah, this doesn't fit. I'm not doing this again. I'm not stepping into the masculine role. And for me, I know that I do, or I used to do, I'm not doing anything now, but I used to do the unfair thing where it's like you come in your masculine, then you get burnt out, and then you want to go into your feminine. right? And when you can't do that, there's a lot of resentment that builds up, and it kind of builds friction in the relationship. And before we started this conversation, me and Mama Sharon were kind of talking about it. And there was a question of to if you are in a relationship and your partner doesn't fulfill all of the roles, those masculine roles that are needed for you to be in your feminine, and as an empath, you're kind of jumping in, filling holes, and flip flopping between masculine and feminine. How do you manage that? And I think it's really important. What Miano said is make your choice, take your seat. If you make your choice to be feminine, your partner either has to be masculine, or you have to make the choice that this is not the relationship for you. So I thank you, Mariana. Does anybody have any thoughts or comments that they like to share based on what was mentioned?
If nobody else is going to speak, I have something. Um, Thank you for that, by the way. Um, I think for me, in this situation, it wasn't just so choice is always a very powerful move, period. Like, no dispute. But in this particular situation for me, I was, I saw it differently. I put myself in a position where it was like, we both been through these things. We both want to overcome these things, and we're going to powerfully like rise from it together. Um, that was my thought. Now, how it aligned with his was totally different. And I think what also comes into play when we're dealing with people who are continentally from the motherland, I think that it's a slippery slope, because I think due to the mid-Atlantic slave trade and all of the other things that have transpired over the years, even now, more of us going back and reaching back to Africa and wanting to, meet with our brothers and sisters and cousins and, people on the land. I, I don't know that they're fully educated, on the process. A lot of them are not. More of them are starting to begin to understand things. But I feel like we haven't gotten there yet, because a large majority of them, I believe, um, and it's okay if we don't all agree on this, but I feel like they see us as an advantage. We have money here because we're in America. We can give green cards because we're in America. There are advantages that, while some of us are authentically trying to go and reconnect and with our roots and our cultures that have been taken from our people and all of that, and then there are things that are coming together based on that. But we got to be careful. And I don't know how to really truly speak to my situation yet, because it's still something I'm growing through, because of just the understanding of how divination and all of that sent me to despair. And it still didn't work out, but that's a whole other something else. But I hear what Miana said. I am gonna definitely take that into my meditation and try to see where I fit in that, if I fit in that. And and I'm good on that part. But choice is, yes, for sure. Um so with that, I'm gonna go off because he's probably gonna keep talking. Okay. So the yeah, so with that being said, how do we, I don't know, because I don't know. I lost my train of thought a little bit. So I'll back down. But
If I can interject just a tad bit, and dialogue with you, sis. Um, I would agree. You know, I know you didn't think I would, but I would agree wholeheartedly um, that the men on the continent see us as opportunity. The problem is we don't know, and we go naive, and we go, like you said, honestly seeking connection, and not knowing, there's a added layer to the game, you know. But if we had, more knowledge and culture in our under our belt, we wouldn't fall victim because there everybody's fine. Everybody got a nice body. Everybody got gift of gab, you know, and they don't care the size you are. They don't care none of that, you know. Big girls rule over on the motherland, you know. And the reason is because there is hot, and everyone has to be manual labor and work. So if you are big, that means you have people working for you, which means you have money. And if you're big and light skinned, that means you're not outside, which means you got even more money. Like it's the mentality that they come from is like totally different. So you got meat on your bones. Oh yes, you know how to eat. You know, yeah, like you got money. You know how to eat. She's smart. That's they're looking at it completely, completely different. So big girls win at home. You can carry more. Your stock is good. They totally look at um, thicker women differently at home. And we don't have any of the educations. They also, going back to be expansive, are taught at a very young age to dominate. I'm going to go in and dominate whatever it takes to win the woman, to get her to make her choice, because they understand the power of choice. So they will do shapes, what is it? Shift shapes. They will accommodate anything that needs to be accommodated to overcome all your objections to get you to choose. Because once you make your choice, their job is to go in and dominate. It's almost like a war tactic. It's the same in war. Once you go into a territory, you dominate the territory. All of that is masculine, So we have to. We can't fault them for knowing how to be males. We have to fault ourselves for not knowing how to be women, for not knowing how to be feminine, and the power that we have in that. And I'll touch on something when it comes to divination. Let me just tell you about the divinations, okay? You can get a divination. Matter of fact, let me just say this first. Everyone needs to get a divination before they get into a committed relationship. Right? When you first start thinking you like someone, you need to get a divination. And I don't want to water down the process of divining. I'm a diviner myself, but I also want to give you a little bit of knowledge and wisdom that helps you not put the divination on such high of a pedestal. Okay? You get a divination with your reading, with your relationship, the same as you would get a tarot reading. So when you say, if I said this is a great relationship, we're going to do this and do that. Sometimes we take that as spiritual people and we put the bank on it. We put all of our energy into that relationship because the divination was well. But truth be told, the stars could be aligned with another man even better. Yes, because the divination is reading the energy, just like if you were to get a life path reading, a relationship life path reading, just like if you were to get tarot cards read or some other type of divination tool. So it's the same. So you use it as a compass, yes. But use your logic, right? The divination, if there are any minor bumps, you'll see it, right? If there is a way to smooth out some of the challenges you guys will have, you get your offerings, your sacrifices, your ebo done, right? And so it's a deeper tool for sure. Uh, but understand you don't stay in a bad situation just because the divination said y'all was good together. There will be other divinations, there will be other men, and somebody else is better. Understand? You know, we have to take care of you um, first. So, uh, yeah, those are the things that I would offer to the conversation.
Yes, logic is a very important tool. I can attest for myself that, down the path later on, and I think really the circumstances changed. The child is really what kind of changed the circumstances because I believe that my expectations were extremely light in the beginning. And it was after becoming pregnant. And I'll just say that there were about 4 or 5 deal breakers, I'll call them, that we agreed to in the beginning. And once every single deal was broken, all of them, not just one or the first one or the second one. But I think the child, in fact, God bless him, was the last one. It because I wasn't prepared to have any more children. He didn't want any more children, but I think honestly, I mean, I'll say this. I have to take my responsibility in it as well, but I will still say that I believe that he may have actually done it on purpose because he everything else was losing, and so he may have felt like this was going to be the thing that was going to force me to have to stay in it. But my mindset's a little bit different. I just wish I had arrived at it a little bit earlier. But like you said, I think it was because of the shrines, because of the divination and things that I was like, no, they told me, that this was going to be it. So, I put in a little bit more fight than I probably normally would. My dreams showed me what this man was doing. I was having continuous dreams that was showing me who he was with, what he was doing. He was taking long silences of not communicating for 6 months at a time. Lots of things going on. And then it wasn't really until I canceled his paperwork for the green card that all of a sudden, he wanted to work things out and figure things out. And then when that didn't work out, then I'm not even gonna go into the names I was called and all of the treatment I got after that. But so yes, choice, discernment, logic, they have to be present regardless. So thank you for that reminder. Thank you.
Go. So, Miana, let me get this straight. When we get our divination and it says it's favorable, should our next question be, is this the most favorable? Is there anyone else? Is there anyone else out there that will be the one for me?
We have to remember the reason we divine, right? We divine because um, we want to see what we can't see, right? So just like with anything else, it's like you use your logic, you use your sense, your deductive reasoning, right? And you go as far as you can go, whether that's in a project, whether that's in a business, or in this case, we're talking about it in a relationship. You go as far as you can go, and you get a divination to see what you can't see. So if you are at the point where you want a divination, that means you you want to be with this person. So I wouldn't say, if you want to ask the question, you know, is there someone better? That means you really don't want this person, you know. But if you've already done your due diligence without the divination, and you just want to double check your heart and make sure you're not just being emotional, or uh, what do they call when you stigmatized? You know, you just want to make sure you're not mesmerizing and like the sex. Then that's why you get a divination. It's not it's not to go back and forth, back and forth. Now, if you really don't know, you know, you could ask that information. Like, is this really the person for me? Should I hold out? But the reading will also show any apprehensions, any hurdles that you guys would have, and then explore that. And then ask, um, is this going to reoccur throughout the relationship? Are these going to be deal breakers? Is this going to build resentment? Go deeper um, into that. Is this relationship, and his cosmic makeup going to be something that like builds me up as a person and brings me to my destiny? There's certain deities that they're not compatible together. You know, and you have to pair all of that with his pain body of this experience, his exposure and what he's been through. You guys cosmically can be a great pair, but he's been traumatized from baby mama drama. He's been traumatized from, other things to where he just can't trust. So it's like, despite the divination looking good, the experiences he's been through in this reincarnation have shaped him to where it's not well. So you have to use your logic, your mind first, and then go and divine. you know um that's what I would add on that.
Thank you, Mia. So it's our investigation. It's our work to do first. This is good. This is good. Yes. Okay. So one of the questions that I had was from Shinyeri, your commentary about your relationship and how you feel alone. I would ask, what are we comfortable being lonely? What is our apprehension about being alone? And what makes us choose the things that we know are not good for us just not to be alone?
So I feel. For me, I would say that I like being alone. So let me just clarify. Because I have a great appreciation for being alone, but I do desire companionship. I don't know how that aligns, but there are times when I enjoy the company of another person, but I very much enjoy my moments of alone time. But I don't desire to do the rest of this journey without a helpmate, and I'll call him a helpmate because I don't want to do it all by myself. Um, I mentioned before on a previous one how I've been on my own and I was living on the street when I was 16 years old. I had a lot of figuring things out to do in terms of my life and my journey from that time. So I've spent a lot of time in solitude, a lot of time, even currently, I have lots of time to think. Even I think I mentioned the job I had that was even quiet, and I had spent all day thinking, um, which is another piece because we were just given notice this week that we're being laid off due to federal um, cuts. So that's another part of my stuff, but that's something else completely. Um, so it's not companionship for the sake of not being alone for me. I can't speak for everybody. It's just a desire. I spent a lot of time alone already, I think. I was very intentional in raising my other children after those relationships didn't last, of not bringing anyone around them because I just didn't trust and I didn't want that for them. I was very intentional about not having a revolving door of men around them. So I didn't date. I didn't date for over 10 years. I didn't interact with a man or and have any relationships. I may have dated once here or there. It didn't work out. It was real clear not to bring them around your kids. Um, so now and just doing this work, it requires some support. It's like I was born in the city. I was raised in the city. I have never lived, the suburban on the land type of life. Dealing with animals and all this stuff. It's not my thing. So that's the my biggest area of suffering. I have to trying to feed all shrines and doing stuff. It's like, it's a struggle for me in that way. But I'm not looking for somebody just because I need my shrines fed. I desire. I mean, that's a piece. I need that support. It's a big deal. I'm not gonna lie to you, but no, but wanting to share my experience with somebody else. I think having positive ways to release stress and things like that is important, and not dibbling and dabbling all around town is a bigger deal. But I don't know. I would like to relate with somebody. Like I said, I can't speak for everybody, but I do desire. I get little feels sometimes, and I like to experience companionship, and but true companionship. Like I know that I've always been a giver. So I've been warned like for years about being mindful of takers. And I think it's hard once you are a giver and people have needs. I've been cautioned about giving away my last. Never give away more than you can afford to get back, or give away your last. And then I found myself multiple times, so then I'm like, okay, head bump, I'm not learning. I have to take a pause. Maybe I do need a break from interaction and relationship because I keep giving too much, and then I'm being left with nothing, and then the build up in the end is so much harder, because I'm not just building up myself emotionally and mentally, but I'm building myself back up financially, all kinds of things in that way. So I don't know. I think having a partner that can contribute and that recognizes the importance of the male role so that I can be in my feminine place. I remember a long time ago, I had a divination, and part of the elbow was for me to wear skirts. I was told I had to wear skirts for a period of time because I had a lot of masculine energy. So everything y'all are saying today is really on point because it's just reminded me of so many things. But yeah. It's not all about just finding anybody for me, though, to answer your question in short. And I'm sorry, I feel like I'm taking up too much time, but nobody else is talking. Right.
I'll go. I think that's a very interesting question, because so growing up, my mom also didn't really date. So I never really saw like romantic relationship in the household. And so as I've now grown up, I haven't had a lot of romantic relationships because that's like what's comfortable and what I'm used to is just like not really having a male counterpart. My last relationship I got into for that reason that we were talking about of like not wanting to be alone. It was a very, very like hard low part. Like my dad had just passed in January. It was the pandemic. And even prior to that, I was already processing a lot of really like heavy, deep stuff. And so he was presenting with a lot of, well, I won't say a lot. some of the like characteristics that I was really looking for at the time. He had a good job. He had a very like strong personality and presented to like have a lot of structure. But there were also flags that I saw, but I was like, yeah, but these other things is looking good too. So let me go ahead and be over there. And when that relationship brought up a lot from deep inside, like just shone a light on all my darkest places. And I haven't been in a relationship since then, and that ended in 2021. And now I've realized that like I've been like at the other end of it, of not engaging in healthy relationship, and how important it is. Like you can do a lot of healing on your own, but you can also get stagnant or comfortable and like not know that you have other places that you need to grow when you've created like a bubble around yourself. And so recently I have felt like myself shifting to really wanting to be in another relationship, and being able to be in like a healthy feminine space, and also see what my healthy masculine traits would look like as well, because each person has both masculine and feminine within themselves. And I think ideally it's like our energies would balance each other and help to fuel each other and create this like system of just like growth and expansion. And so that's what I am looking forward to now. And just, I guess, really, when thinking about like, why is it that we sometimes get into relationships just not to be alone? It's like a fear of the self, or like wanting a distraction, because that's the way we've been programmed to be. It's just whenever we're feeling any type of emotion that we don't really like, we distract ourselves with scrolling or work or getting another degree or like just something anytime. Like that's the way that we try to regulate ourselves. And so being able to like sit in those uncomfortable feelings, I think, um, is how we prevent just getting into these random relationships. Alafia, Alafia, Alafia.
Yeah, that's big. For me, there was a lot of not wanting to be alone, and just like Shinyuri was talking about, like there's been a lot of my life that I have been alone or not had this romantic type of companionship. And so as I, age and get older, it's like you want to find you don't want to be alone. You want to find that companionship or a helpmate. And throughout my just my learning of culture, learning about the spiritual journey, um, it's been my idea of companionship has changed. Like I definitely do um, want to experience love, right? I want to, experience that. But I also see like that we put a lot of pressure on our male companions to be our helpmates in life. And I don't think that that's their position. I don't think that they're capable or should be our everything, kind of like how TV tells us or, media tells us your man should be your best friend. He should be everything. I don't think that's realistic. I don't think that's fair, because a lot of those roles that we need are like feminine roles. We want our man to be masculine and we want them to be feminine too. And what I had to learn is that there is a need for us to get out of this. I don't know, there's like this romantic type of partnership and love that we see in movies and TV and songs, and it pumps into us. If you don't have this, then there's something wrong with you, there's something wrong with your life. You need this type of relationship, which is really unrealistic or unsustainable. Um, and when I think about like what I've learned in our culture, there's a lot that has to do with like community, having a sisterhood, right? Where your helpmates are your sisters, your helpmates are your community. And it's not that the man has to come in and change the diapers and babysit the kid. And like, that's not his role. And we expect that. And I think a lot of times, like, we don't want to be lonely, but that expectation in the end creates this loneliness because they can't fulfill it, or creates this resentment because it's not for them to fulfill. And so I would ask, um, how do you create community? How do you create community or a sisterhood? Do you have one? And do you see like the benefits that you could change some of your perspectives on what you expect from a man by having more of a sisterhood? I feel.
Go. That is so good. That's something that was coming to mind as we were having this talk about romantic relationships. Is just like relationships in general. I think being in the West, we're so individualistic. It's like everything is like you have to create your own nuclear family and you're not as close with your extended family and you're supposed to just have this partner that's just your one partner. You're supposed to have that one best friend. Like it's always one. And when you think about anything in life, if you only have one pair of shoes, them shoes gonna get worn out real quickly. You know, it's like we're meant to have lots of different relationships. And like everybody has so many different strengths and different things that they bring to the world. Like we need to have a variety. It's like seasonings. Like if we only use salt or only use salt and pepper, like the food ain't gonna hit the way it's meant to hit, you know? And so we should have lots of different friendships and relationships too, because I think a lot of the problems that we experience in romantic relationships, I think also can be found in platonic or even familial relationships where we're expecting the world from people who like they're not meant to give us the world. They're meant to like be a piece of the world. And I think that also comes from a lack of education. Like we don't know what these certain roles are supposed to be anymore. Like what comes with being a sister versus a mother versus a cousin versus an auntie. Like they're similar, but they're different as well. And so I think if we had a better understanding of these different positions, that would be helpful in us being able to have like healthier relationships. And also being able to expand how these roles are in this day and age, because it's like we're also basing a lot of our expectations off of like how society was before there was things like globalization, you know, when there were less people and like smaller communities. And now we have the ability to like travel and do all these things. So how does it look like to show that you care and that you're nurturing and that you're, you know, providing for someone when they're thousands of miles away? You know, how do we utilize video messaging and all these other great, you know, innovations that we have to continue to strengthen relationships? I think it just takes more like intentionality and creativity. And seeing like what we can do, you know, like I think the pandemic was really beautiful in that way where people started to connect together and do like Zoom parties, and everybody would be cooking together or finding ways to play games together, which is beautiful. Like for me, my family is all across the country. I would love if we could hop on a Zoom call and it's like 30 of us and we're like all cooking dinner together or something. Like, yeah, being together is the ideal, but at least seeing each other's faces, seeing the random kids popping in and out, like that would also like be fulfilling in a way. So I think just like putting a lot of intention into relationships and like learning what it means to be in certain roles and even reflecting back on ourselves. Like, are we being good community members? Are we looking out for, you know, in our sister role, in our auntie role, in our cousin? And you know what I mean? Like, also taking that self-reflection is helpful because it's like we might be like, dang, so and so didn't check in on me, and you salty about that because like you're also going through something hard, and then you finally talk to him, it's like, wow, I was there that you found out that you too going on. So having more compassion and grace, I think, is also really, really necessary. Um,
Thank you, Mama Strong. You know, we don't put a lot of emphasis on the other relationships that we have around us, our sisterhood, our community, our friends, and how we're pouring into those relationships and how they're pouring into us, in order not to have that imbalance in our romantic counterparts or romantic relationships. I think it's very interesting on the continent. At home, it's like marriage is seen a little different. It's not a romantic thing. It doesn't seem that way. I mean, catch me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't seem like such a romantic. You're my soulmate kind of thing that we have in the U.S. It's more of a like an arrangement. It's more of a focus to build a legacy, build a bloodline. They come together for that purpose. But the things that you need, the companionship that you need, the bonding that you need, the support, who's cooking tonight, who's watching the kids, who's handling transportation, who's consoling me when I have these thoughts and I need to rant, when I need to vent. Who am I having like this intimacy, and not intimacy in the way of like sex, but intimacy in, vulnerability. Who am I being vulnerable with? And at home, it's more like you're vulnerable with your sisterhood. Like they take the role of building the bond and intimacy that you need, that feeds you. And so the roles are a little different. And I don't know, Shinnyeri, have you seen that when you were in the continent? And like how does that change your perspective?
Um, some maybe. I that was a slippery slopey area too, because I mean, as an African American coming over there, I mean, there may have been some of that was happening between them. I found opportunistic mindset to exist with the women as well. So it's like I feel like coming back over there, we have to be really mindful. And it's like I wouldn't want to move to Africa and just be completely in an area that only had expats in it, and that we weren't, mixing and mingling and interacting with African. But at the same time, being involved with them very closely is a very cautious thing to do as well, because a lot of them have their intentions. I was in a family that was very nice to me. Everybody was kind to me. Once I got married, up until a point, and then all of a sudden, there was this. They only spoke their language. I'm learning, but I'm not there yet. And then it's like I'm like, oh, and I keep hearing my name being called, and I'm like, oh, and everybody's laughing, and I'm like, what's going on? And what do we do? Yeah, let me laugh too. And it's like, oh, well, if you want to know what we're talking about, then you should learn. And so then there was a lot of snubbing that took place. So what once felt warm and like a sisterhood and a family, it just shifted all of a sudden, and I really couldn't finger point anything other than they didn't need to anymore, because we actually got married now, so they got what they wanted. I don't know. So it was just really difficult. So that's going to be something that I can't really answer for everybody. I can only say for myself that I did develop some of my own friendships and relationships outside of the family there, with people who I may have like my seamstress and things like that, and some other people I've met. And there are a couple of people who are still nice, and I can have conversations and stuff with, but even that's difficult because I'm here, and sometimes they just want me to send them some money and that's what it is. So I
Mm.
mean, I don't know. I mean, I do see the value in sisterhood and the value in community. we don't have enough time on here for me to talk about that aspect of why that is something that I don't have right now in my circle right now for very specific reasons. I think I've dabbled and dabbled in a little bit of it in the past, but I do see the value in it. I see the importance of it. I desire it. And so one day, so it shall be.
Well, thank you, ladies. This has been a really, really good conversation. I think it's like a part two that's needed. We are towards the end or out of time, so I would just say thank you. And if there are any last words, Miano, no, yes, okay.
Um, I think as a last word, I would just say I appreciate you guys being vulnerable and being transparent. I like that you guys brought this topic up. It shows that it's something we need to talk about more. Um, yeah, maybe even a part two if that's what you guys chose. And I'm not on these calls too often, and so it's just interesting that um, on Patreon we're doing the Role of the Woman series, and I just happen to be on those calls. So for those of you who are either watching or on this call and want to learn more, by the time this airs, the series might be over, but you can still go on Patreon and watch the series, like kind of binge on the series. So go ahead and do that. I think other than that, it would just be have a good week. Be well.
I didn't know these air live. Thought this were private conversations. Oh gosh. Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you, ladies, and we'll see you next week.